All right, we're back here on the Saturday morning show, Dickson County Radio. Appreciate everybody tuning in with us once again this Saturday. And the last two Saturdays have been some of the highest ratings that we've had in a while. We had 2 weeks ago, we had Mr. John Llewellyn on, and then last week we had Mr. Perry Keenan on. And these two fellas are running for state representative to represent the 78th District. They're both from Cheatham County, and the district that they're running in does cover Cheatham County, but also part of Dickson County. So we wanted to get those guys on, and we appreciate them coming on. And this morning, we're sort of shifting gears. We're still sort of in the political lane. We're trying to get some candidates on to let you guys know who's running in these upcoming 2026 elections. And for the next couple of weeks, we're going to try to have on candidates for county mayor. As many of you know, Bob Ryle has been in office for, I believe, going on 16 years now, and so it's been a long time since we've had a different county mayor, but we've got several candidates that have thrown their hat in the ring, and we're very honored this morning to have one of those candidates on with us. It's Mr. Danny Williams. Danny is live on the phone with us right now. Danny, how are you doing this morning, sir?
Man, I'm doing great this morning and glad to have this opportunity to talk to you and get the word out.
Well, I appreciate you coming on, man. It's a little cold this morning, but of course I'm inside here getting to talk to you. But it's election season is upon us, I guess, even though it's just January. But we are trying to go ahead and get the word out about all the candidates. So we appreciate you jumping on here with us this morning. I guess we want to go ahead and start this morning by giving you the opportunity to talk a little bit about yourself and to let folks know who maybe tuned in this morning, who maybe don't know you, maybe a little bit about yourself, maybe a little bit about your background and experience that has led you up to this decision to run for county mayor.
All right. Well, thanks, Justin. So I'm Danny Williams, and I'm running for Dickson County Mayor this year. And I'll start off with just kind of my history. You know, I know you're a history teacher, and I love my family history. So the way my family come to Dickson, my fifth great-grandfather, Daniel Williams, was Captain Daniel Williams, fought in the Revolutionary War. And in 1792, he received a land grant for 2,200 acres down on Yellow Creek, if you're familiar with Skittish Market, close to the Ruskin Cave. And so in 1810, he moved his family here. And so we've got deep roots here in Dickson County, been here since 1810. And of course, I'm a lifelong resident. My political kind of history is that I was elected real young. At 24, I was elected as city council member of White Bluff. And at 25, I was elected as a county commissioner. And at 26, I was elected as mayor of White Bluff. And so kind of got started a little early, got real involved in the community. And so kind of to cap on that a little bit is the White Bluff is, I moved to White Bluff in 1994. I got a job to run the water department there in White Bluff Utility District, and moved to White Bluff in '94 and really fell in love with the community. I was raised in Dickson, but really fell in love with White Bluff and the people, and was elected 2 years later in 1999 to the mayor of White Bluff, and I served 8 years as the mayor, and at the same time I was serving a 4-year term on the county commission for District 12. And so it was really too much. And so after I served that one term, I didn't run again and focused more on White Bluff and enjoyed doing that work. I enjoy helping people and being involved in the community. And so that's kind of my start. And then in 2020, I decided so in '07, let me back up a little bit. In '07, after I finished my second term as mayor, I decided not to run again. And so kind of got out of politics. And then in 2020, decided to get back in and ran for District 10. Mr. Booty Reed passed away. And so I ran for his seat to finish his term out for 2 years. And then in 2022, ran again for a 4-year term. So I'm finishing up my 6th year, this stint on the county commission for District 10. And so that's kind of political history, I guess more of my personal work history is, like I said, I moved to White Bluff in '94. Always been in the utility industry. And then I left there and went to work for an engineering firm in Nashville and done a lot of consulting work in Middle Tennessee with cities and counties and utilities, a lot on infrastructure projects. We would help design and build and take the owner through the process of completing those projects. And then in 2001, my brother asked me to come on. He had started a company in 2000 called Underground Pipe and Construction. And so in 2001, he asked me to come on. And so we teamed up. So we've been in business 25 years, and we're located here in Dickson. I'm in District 10. My office is in District 10. And so I like to tell people, I live, work, and I'm real proud of that. We do infrastructure projects, for cities and utilities, and we mainly focus on roads and water and sewer projects. And so that's kind of my history. I'm married to Marcy. She's was a pharmacist and retired. She had a business in White Bluff Prescription. She retired in 2022 to go home and to keep some grandkids. So that's kind of my history.
Well, let me ask you real quick. You and I, we probably could sit down and have a history podcast, just know about the history of Dickson County, because I have actually read into a little bit of Captain Williams' history, and there's some fascinating stories there. And I wasn't 100% sure. I was going to ask you this at some point during the show today, if you were related to the same folks who date back so far in the county here, because as somebody who's written a bunch of articles for the local newspaper and has kind of I guess somewhat of a local historian myself, I've found some of the early county history sort of fascinating, and I guess with you having some ties to some of the early settlers here, I guess you've probably dove into that a little bit of that history yourself, huh?
Yeah, I have. It's he actually served. He was the postmaster down there, and also the stagecoach. A lot of people may not know, but the stagecoach, that ran from Nashville and west, they stopped there, and he had a boarding house, and so they would put the horses up, and then they would spend the night there. So that was a regular stop for the stagecoach.
Oh yeah, absolutely, it was, and my understanding is Charlotte was sort of the western outpost that would kind of come through over the river through the White Bluff area, go up to Charlotte, and then after that, it was sort of the wilderness for a little while there. And so, hey, I could get into all kinds of stories here. Anyways, you guys were listening to Danny Williams here. He's running for Dickson County Mayor. And if you give me the opportunity, I'll turn this into a history show. But we're talking a little bit about his background and his experience. And he is one of the fellows who is running for county mayor. Let's take a quick break, Danny. When we come back, I want to ask you a little bit about some specifics about your campaign, maybe some of the key things that you think that Dickson County needs going forward, maybe some of the issues that we'll face, and some of the focuses that you want to bring to us as county mayor. So we'll take a quick break. We'll hear a few commercials, maybe a song or two, and then we'll come back and I'll ask Danny Williams a couple more questions. We appreciate everybody tuning in this morning. You're listening to The Morning Show right here on Dickson County Radio, and we'll be right back. All right, we're back here on Dickson County Radio, and we appreciate everyone tuning in this morning. We've had several political candidates on the past couple of weeks, and trying to make this show on Saturday morning a place that you can come every Saturday morning and hear from somebody different in the community who is putting themselves out there to run for public office. And over the next couple of weeks, we are spotlighting the Dickson County mayor's race, and we're trying to get a few of those candidates to come on. And this morning, we've got the first one of that series. We're blessed to have Mr. Danny Williams on this morning with us. Danny, we'd appreciate you coming on with us this morning. I know in the first segment, you talked to us a little bit about your background and experience, and we appreciate you sort of introducing yourself to us. And I guess now we'll sort of shift the focus to county mayor. That's a big job. It's something that we haven't seen a different county mayor in a while, and so this is now the opportunity with Bob Riles stepping away and deciding to retire for someone new to take the reins there. And so I wanted to give you an opportunity in this segment to talk a little bit about your campaign and some of the things that you want to focus on, and I guess some of the problems, I guess, that we're going to face in the future are always things that we want to look ahead to. But talk to us a little bit about your campaign, and maybe even hit a little bit on, what made you want to do this? What would make you want to run for county mayor?
Okay, all right, thanks. Yeah. So, I've always had the desire to serve, and I love helping people. I'm in the construction business, and so I tell people my first phone call in the morning is usually a problem. Somebody didn't show up for work, or somebody's been in an accident, something's broke down. So I've always enjoyed helping people. That's probably the biggest reason that I've always tried to serve. And so, I think our campaign is going to focus on several things, but I think everybody that lives here knows that Dickson, of course, is a great place to live, and people are wanting to come here. And I think some of those reasons is its close proximity to Nashville. Also, we have, low taxes, we have good schools. So all those things that we want to focus on, we want to continue to do that. And I think one of our biggest issues will be how we manage the growth. So my view is that while we welcome growth, I'm pro-business. We know growth is good, but we've got to manage it. We've got to keep it smart. We've got to keep it responsible. And how do we do that? And so I think one of the things is that we always try to funnel, and keep that growth, high density growth, to the cities. They have the infrastructure in place to be able to handle, high density developments. That's high density residential, if that's commercial, industrial, those type things should be in the cities. And in the county, I think we want to try to preserve our rural areas. We want to try to keep the farmlands, the agricultural areas, the things that we really love about our county is how do we protect those? And I think I've sat on several committees the last 6 years on focusing on how to preserve that and how to, not have urban sprawl. And so I'm really excited about working on that. And so the next one is, of course, I'm a physical conservative, and so my background and my record will show that as mayor of White Bluff, we had a 20% growth rate, and in the 8 years I was mayor, we never raised the property tax. So I'm proud of that. And so do that. How do you do that? And a lot of that is being responsible in the budgeting and having long-term plans. And most people that keep up with me on the commission know that I'm a numbers guy. I've been an estimator, and so all day long I'm looking at numbers. And so, weekly is we need to be looking at the budget. We need to see why we're over if we are. And, I kind of think government is kind of like my household. We all live on a budget. You have to spend less than you take in, and we have to be responsible. And so that's how I would manage and try to keep the taxes low and to spend the people's money properly. And then third, is the schools. Strong schools, we know that that attracts employers, that attracts people to move here. So having good, strong schools is important. And I also like to be clear on this, but one size doesn't fit all. I know that. I said the other night at the GOP is we have about 7,600 students in the school right now. When I was on the commission in 2000, we had 8,000 kids. So we're down in 25 years. We're down 400 or 500 kids, but we have 1,500 kids homeschooled. And so, if the school system is not right for you and your family, hey, I'm not opposed to that. I think homeschooling is great. I know a lot of kids that they're homeschooled. And also, I've got friends that are in private school. Some people think that's a better route for their kid. For some reasons, it could be religious or whatever. So I'm not don't want to sound like that's the only way, but I do want to support the schools. Dickson County Schools is the number one employer of the county. Have 850 employees. So they're important to the county. So those are the things that I feel like our campaign is going to focus on in the next 4 years is really try to help this community continue to be strong.
Absolutely. And, you look around, and as somebody who's been here for a long time, you see things changing, and there's not a whole lot you can do about that, but you want to try to guide the county in the best way that you can so that I guess the ones that come after you will get to enjoy it the same way that we did. And I know that's really the goal of all the mayors here, is to lead us in the right direction. But I do think things are going to change. I guess it's kind of inevitable, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It is.
Well, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and take another break here. We're listening to Mr. Danny Williams talk about his campaign here for Dickson County Mayor, and we appreciate him coming in with us this morning and calling in and talking a little bit with us about his campaign. When we come back, I do want to ask you, Danny, a little bit about the election timeline. I know people are listening and they're thinking, when are we going to vote for this? So let's go over that with them, and then we'll also hit on some ways to contact you and maybe talk about some of your upcoming events. We do appreciate Danny Williams calling in with us this morning. Let's go ahead and take another break, and we'll be right back. You're listening to The Morning Show right here on Dickson County Radio. All right, we're back here on Dickson County Radio, and we once again have a great show for you this morning, and we're talking with someone else who has decided to put themselves out there to run for office in this upcoming election season. We've got a lot of offices that are up for re-election, and we've got a lot of folks that have put their name out there that they would like to run for office. Just what was it, a few days ago, we had a big meeting out out at a church here in downtown Dickson, and a lot of Republican candidates came forward and announced that they were running, and there will be many more that also announce in the next upcoming weeks, because I believe we've got until around February the 19th. So if you're thinking about running for office, there is still time. We've got county mayor on the ballot. We've got all 12 commissioners will be up for election, several school board members, and then there are some other countywide offices also. So this is the biggest election year that we've had in several years, and we are pleased this morning to have someone on who has decided to run for an office in this upcoming election cycle. We've been talking this morning to Danny Williams, and we appreciate Danny coming on with us. We've talked this morning about his background and experience, and he's hit on some of the key points of his upcoming campaign. And as we sort of close things out here, Danny, appreciate you coming on with us and talking with us all about these things. Is there anything that we haven't hit on as far as your campaign that you did want to talk about here as we sort of get to the last segment?
Yeah, I think timeline, so I'm excited. We did hear back from the Republican Party Thursday from the state, and we are approved Republican candidate. We meet the qualifications for a bona fide candidate. So I'm glad to announce that we'll be on the May 5th primary as a Republican, and then, as you mentioned, if we're fortunate there to win, we would move on to the August 6th general election. So I just, hit on that. This is something new this year. I think it's going to be important for us to be able to get the people out to vote in May. This is something different. It's not something we've done in the past. And so getting the word out is going to be real important.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So we're going to need the help to get that out. So,
and I appreciate you coming on, because that's sort of the goal of the show here, is to try to make sure that we're getting the word out, about the election and letting people know about the timeline. And so I appreciate you mentioning that. We do have an election in May, and then have another one in August, and then I guess we'll have another one in November, if I'm not mistaken. It's a big election year, right?
That's right. So it will be. So. Yeah, so we're excited. We've been out on the campaign trail, and we're hitting as many stops as possible. So I tell people we're hitting all the city halls. We've been to White Bluff, Burns, Van Leer. We're hitting all the fire halls, the community centers. So if anybody's out there that's got an event, community center, any kind of event, please reach out to us. I'd like to invite everybody. January the 29th to come out to Greystone at 6 o'clock. We're going to have our launch event, and we'll be celebrating this kickoff. And so want to welcome everybody out. And if you want to reach out to me, there's several ways. My email is danny@dw4dc.com. Our website is going up next week, is Danny Williams, 4, dcmayor.com. Of course, I'm on Facebook. Look me up on Facebook. It's Danny Williams for County Mayor. We're posting stuff every week. So please reach out. We want to meet you. We want to come to your event and have the opportunity to speak and tell you our vision and our plan. And just look forward to being out in the community over the next few months and earning your vote.
So we're going to put the interview on Facebook, here in just a little bit. Of course, we'll put it out there. And I know you're one of the guys who's, gotten into Facebook. I know pretty much everybody who's running for mayor has been on Facebook. What do you think about Facebook? That can be fun, but sometimes it can be a little crazy, huh?
Well, I tell everybody, don't laugh at me, but I just got on Facebook in November, so I'm new to it. So I don't have I think I'm up to 600 friends, and I think we have 400 or 500 followers, and so it's new to me. I'm not a social media guy. I'm kind of old school. I like to shake hands and talk to people face to face and talk on the phone. So this is kind of new for me.
No, I get it, and the last two guys who were on, Perry Keenan and John Llewellyn, they both were telling me, that a lot of people have been listening to this on Facebook, and so it's kind of been a joke, amongst us. It's like, well, it's almost like you got to participate in Facebook, in politics these days, and almost sometimes a little grudgingly, but I appreciate you doing that, and I know a lot of people who are listening to this are probably listening on Facebook, so I appreciate you doing that with us and coming on the show this morning.
Well, thank you, Justin. I appreciate the opportunity to spread our message.
Well, and I thank you so much, and that's sort of the goal of the show. And I'll take just a second here as we sort of close out to tell everybody that we appreciate you coming on, and appreciate the last couple of candidates coming on. Really, what the goal is here is starting at the beginning of 2026. We sat down and thought, what's most important to our community, and there's a lot of things that are important. But with an election year coming up, as we mentioned a little bit earlier, where you have so many different offices that are up for election, I do think it's important that, in the space that we have here, local media, that we try our best to get the word out there about the candidates and give them an opportunity to talk directly with the voters and to talk a little bit about the things that they want to make a focus of their campaign, because it is important to all of us that live here in Dickson County that we have a great community going forward, and that takes a lot of planning, that takes a lot of sacrifice, and it takes folks stepping up and being willing to run for office. And so everybody that comes on here, we do appreciate it, and we want to formally invite anybody who is running for office in 2026 here in Dickson County, whether that be at the county level or whether that be a higher office that just covers Dickson County, all the way down to county commissioners, school board, which covers certain sections of the county. We want to try to have everybody on. So if you're listening, we do want to make that very clear that, we're inviting everybody on. I'm sort of just inviting people as I sort of run into them. I think I've run into you, Danny, a couple different times. You've been real out and about. And once again, we appreciate you coming on with us. And if you guys have any questions for Danny, you can contact him, and you got that. Why don't you tell us one more time when that event is that's coming up, because I know it's right around the corner, Danny.
Yeah. So January the 29th, 6 o'clock at Greystone. So come out. We're going to have signs available to anybody that wants to pick up a sign. We'll have some light refreshments, and we'll be able to give you a quick vision of what we're planning on doing. And so just come out. We're looking for volunteers and supporters to get on and get on the campaign with us and help. So please come out.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I truly appreciate it. We're going to continue this series in the upcoming weeks. I do believe we've got Ray Ledger up next, and I think So that's next week, and then the week after that, Stacy Beatty, and then I'm still trying to lock down the exact dates for the other guys, but everybody's agreed to do it. And then after that, we've got some county commissioners that I'm lining up. Going to talk to a few today about what date they're going to come on. So we appreciate Danny coming on. We appreciate everybody who is listening, and we appreciate all the other upcoming candidates. We want you to make sure that you stay tuned to Dickson County Radio the rest of the day. We've got some great 80s music for you all day long, and so you'll want to keep it right here. And then, of course, we'll be back next week with another episode of The Morning Show, and I believe that will be with Mr. Ray Ledger Jr. So thank you to Danny Williams, and thank you to everybody. We'll see you next week.